Hello and welcome to WireFrameRate. Today I'm going to provide an overview of iCloud Sync, a new feature in WebFrame and WebFrame Pro version 2.0.0. With iCloud Sync, you can remotely manage multiple devices without an expensive MDM solution, provided that all devices are logged into the same iCloud account. This video will walk you through the process of configuring a device in WebFrame to use iCloud Sync. It will also demonstrate the two methods for managing devices with iCloud Sync: peer-to-peer management using the iOS Settings app, and settings push management using the new management mode of WebFrame. In this video, I will be demonstrating iCloud Sync and WebFrame management mode using WebFrame Kiosk. Please note that the same functionality and steps apply to WebFrame Pro Kiosk as well. As previously mentioned, in order to use iCloud Sync, all devices must be signed into the same iCloud account. On screen, you can see an iPad with a fresh install of WebFrame Kiosk. If I open iOS Settings, you can see towards the top of the left-hand pane that this device is not signed into iCloud. I need to sign in before I can configure WebFrame to use iCloud Sync. I'll go ahead and tap the prompt to sign in and complete the necessary steps required to sign into iCloud. Once I'm signed in, I'll tap on the Apple ID account in the master pane and find iCloud in the detail pane. Here you will see a list of apps and services that can use iCloud. You can enable or disable any of the services you wish, however, two items must be enabled for iCloud Sync to work with WebFrame. Those items are iCloud Drive and WebFrame, or WebFrame Pro. Ensure all of these settings are turned on. At this point, you will have enabled everything necessary in iOS to use iCloud Sync in WebFrame. Next, we will enable WebFrame itself to sync settings via iCloud. To enable iCloud Sync in WebFrame, we're going to stay in the iOS Settings app and scroll down in the left pane until we see WebFrame. Select it. On the right-hand side, we are going to scroll down to Management Options and turn on the setting titled iCloud Sync Enabled. And that's it. At this point, iCloud Sync is turned on, but no settings are currently stored in iCloud. The first time I run WebFrame, all local settings will be synced to iCloud. From this point forward, settings stored in iCloud will have priority over the settings stored locally on the device. So, for example, if I go into Settings and change the home page in Local Settings, and go back to WebFrame, you'll see that the previous setting is still applied. That's because the setting in iCloud is higher priority than the local setting. In order to update the settings stored in iCloud, you can either force an update from iOS Settings or use the new WebFrame management mode. To force an update from settings, make your desired changes, then scroll down to Management Options and enable Sync Settings to iCloud on Next Run. The next time you run WebFrame, the updated settings will be applied locally as well as updated in iCloud. If we switch back to Settings, you will notice that the Sync on Next Run setting is now toggled back to the off position. Once iCloud Sync is enabled, anytime you want to make changes, you will need to toggle the Sync on Next Run setting to ensure the new values are applied both locally and to iCloud. This ensures that synchronized settings are not updated unless you explicitly force a change. As we will see next, this method is referred to as peer-to-peer management of WebFrame. Peer-to-peer management of WebFrame simply means that when multiple devices are synchronizing settings through iCloud, they can manage each other. So, for example, here I have two iPads, both logged into the same iCloud account and both running WebFrame with iCloud Sync enabled. If I go to one of the two devices and apply some setting changes, ensuring to enable Sync on Next Run, you will see that both devices update to the latest settings. And, as you would expect, I can do the same thing from the other device. So if I go to the second device currently on screen, change some settings, again, ensure I enable Sync on Next Run, you will see the change applied to all devices. Please note, you may see a small lag between making changes and having those changes be reflected on all the other devices. This latency is related to the non-real-time nature of iCloud key value storage. In most cases, settings will synchronize in a matter of seconds. If settings take longer to update, or don't seem to update at all, then restarting WebFrame can force a refresh. However, that will rarely, if ever, be necessary. Finally, we come to Settings Push Management. This is achieved through a new management mode that has been added to WebFrame 2.0.0. To enable management mode, go to iOS Settings, WebFrame, Management Options, and in App Launch Mode, choose Management Mode. Since we are using this to manage all other devices connected to iCloud, also ensure that iCloud Sync is enabled. One quick note, the App Launch Mode, iCloud Sync, and Sync on Next Run settings only apply to the local device. These values are not synced to iCloud, so there is no worry that setting one device into management mode will set all of your connected devices into management mode. There is also no need to sync on Next Run, since management mode is only a local setting. Once I have made these changes, I simply run WebFrame, and here you will see a similar settings view. However, this is running entirely within WebFrame rather than the iOS Settings app. Management mode allows you to set up one device, in this case an iPhone, effectively as a management console to manage settings for all other devices. It can be any device running iOS 12 or later. So in this case, let's say I've decided I want to change a few settings. I will simply apply those changes, then click Save. After a moment, you will see the changes applied to all of the devices. Again, if I want to make different changes, I apply those changes within the settings view, click Save, and there you'll see the changes rolled out to all of the other devices. Just as a reminder, everything demonstrated today was running WebFrame Kiosk. This marks the first release of WebFrame Kiosk that is remotely manageable. Everything I discussed today is also available in WebFrame Pro Kiosk. However, keep in mind that WebFrame Pro Kiosk is also manageable with most major mobile device management or MDM products via app config. While iCloud Sync and MDM can be used simultaneously, it is not recommended to use both due to the potential for setting conflicts. Settings applied via MDM will have priority over iCloud, which has priority over local settings. In general, we recommend iCloud Sync for smaller deployments where all devices can be logged into the same iCloud account and all devices will be using the same settings. If you have a large deployment, or using groups or even individual devices with unique settings, can't use a common iCloud account, etc., we recommend using WebFrame Pro with MDM. We hope this video has provided you with a better understanding of iCloud Sync, peer-to-peer management, and push management with the new WebFrame management mode. For more information or to provide us with feedback, please head over to WireFrameRate.com. Thank you for your time and support.